owned and operated company. They even include a free pocket Declaration of Independence and Constitution with every order. Plus, a portion of each purchase goes to support the Semper Fi America's Fund. Get yours today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/fire. That's badlandsmedia.tv/fire. Everybody needs a fire pit. You should have got one before the 4th of July. But like I said, this is only the beginning of what is a long summer that you now have to create little mini holidays over. So there you have it. Our little mini holiday, our first post 4th of July mini holiday comes on Saturday night. That is when Sal the Butcher shows up at my house, and a bunch of the guys are coming by, and we will have, I don't know how many pounds worth of ribeye straight from his butcher shop. And I can't tell you what we call the affair, but anyway, it's going to be wonderful. He brings over, Jay, he brings over ribeyes that they look like catcher's mitts. Catcher's mitts, Jay. Where are you? There you are. So,
I mean,
too bad you're going to miss it.
I know. What's better than that?
I know.
Really? I mean,
sit around, have a Topo Chico, and some steak. So there you go. Everybody, Jay Gulinello is going to join us on the other side of this intro. So I hope you all just sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!
How do you not feel like you grow red, white, and blue balls on your nuts when you hear this? I'm telling you, man. And John Philip Sousa, we also say we're talking about an illegal immigrant from what is it, Portugal? He's Portuguese.
Is he really?
Oh yeah.
We played a lot of his stuff in, I was played in bands in high school, and I played trumpet. So this kind of music, we used to play it all the time, especially around this time of year.
There's nothing more American sounding than this.
Yeah.
And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's a good time. So, hey, everybody, welcome to the show. It's going to be a wonderful night. Jay Gulinello, Perpetual Health is here. What's going on, Jay?
Hey. Did you make a cannibal joke when you were talking about that fire pit? You said you could cook anybody.
Oh, you can cook anybody.
What a great way to start off the 4th of July.
I know. Well, you know what it is? I have cannibalism on my mind because this week, Christy Nome she paid reference to this instance where they, because they're doing they were at Alligator Alcatraz.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, but she was talking about some cases of people who need to be taken out of the country that were particularly bad, including one cannibal that tried to, eat himself away, like while he was in custody. I missed
that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. The cannibal Holocaust here.
But Frank, think about the children.
No, think about the cuisine.
It's unbelievable. I mean, is it okay that we deport this guy, or are we going to start to call, where was he from? Do you know?
I don't know.
We're going to call him Maryland Man?
It just doesn't matter.
He's a cannibal.
Wherever the hell he goes, send him back to one of those islands. Man, I think about it a lot. The things that we have to do, we have to put up with. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's never even anything that we could agree with on that there will be just somebody deflecting and say, yeah, okay, well, it's just.
I think actually
they're not all cannibals.
I think actually Hakeem Jeffries might have defended this particular cannibal in his 7 to 8 hour spiel this morning.
What was it supposed to be? Some sort of a.
I don't think they have the filibuster in the House, so I don't know what his deal was. But
so it was just a delay.
It was actually hysterical. I was saying to you beforehand, I think this current incarnation of the Democrat Party They're the only party in history that can speak for 8 or 9 hours straight and say absolutely nothing. He said absolutely nothing. I just kept seeing, like, as I was flipping through different things and I was working this morning, I just kept seeing, like, everybody had, like, Hakeem Jeffries, like, in a box in the bottom, just like they were keeping track because they knew the vote was going to come once he finally retired. And he's just there doing his dime store, dollar store Obama thing. He's bad at it. He's a bad actor. And he's like, I'd like to thank my mother and my brother. And I'm just like, what are you doing?
What was he talking about?
Oh, it was every time. I never got to listen to more than like maybe 60 seconds at a clip. And he was just either lying about the bill or he was talking about how this is not what this country, we're here to stand up for what's great about this country. And my mom raised me right. I'm like, what? It was absolute lunacy, complete lunacy. Again, he spoke for 8 or 9 hours. He said nothing of substance. And that's pretty much the Democrat Party in a nutshell. Dude,
you know what? The last time we spoke, no, it was when you came on after the No Kings thing.
Oh yeah,
because you were here like just a week or so ago.
Yeah, maybe it was right before?
I don't know. It was you, me, and Matt were together.
No.
Anyway, that's the one thing I took away from that night. The audience would love to
see Matt and I together in the same room.
Wasn't it? Oh, no, it was Matt and Mike Baldwin. They've had their time.
Yeah,
you and Matt came head to head with each other on Saturday when we were meeting about the Jamboree.
That's right, but the audience didn't know anything about that.
Right.
But Matt and I have been in the same room together, and we buried the hatchet.
They buried the hatchet. That's it. There's no bad blood between them anymore.
We even hugged.
No bad blood anymore. But what I was saying with that whole No Kings weekend, the big takeaway was nobody gives a shit anymore.
I know.
And yeah, the news cameras are going to show up in obligatory ways, and they're going to capture, an aerial shot of a jammed city sidewalk in some, uber blue city somewhere.
Let my people go.
Yeah, the let my people go. And and the rest of us are like, damn, you guys are just ugly.
I mean,
and uninteresting.
In the protests, they just really don't have any moral high ground anymore, because some of the things they were, one of the things I kept hearing Hakeem Jeffries talking about was like fiscal responsibility. I'm like, really, where have you been for the last 4 years? So I mean, it's just, you can just, the veil is so thin now, you can see the political hackery at play, right? It's not genuine. Like, if you were to stand up there for 8 or 9 hours and talk about things of substance, because, I think most people would say, and even Trump would probably admit, this big, beautiful bill has a ton of crap in it, but you don't get everything you want. That's kind of the way it works. But you would think that they would be able to at least form some kind of substantive argument and really go. It just wasn't like that. I was just so unimpressed by his mastery of the facts, his intellectual honesty. He's just a weak personality. And if that's the best, that part, I mean, and there's plenty of, trust me, I'm not a Republican either. I've been independent my whole life. But he was just, if that's the future of the Democrat Party, he's just weak, just weakness.
Well, you would also think, which is why this is all just acting. And that's why people say, well, they're all on the same side working to one degree or another. And then you have Trump, who's, he has to know the lay of the land here.
Yeah.
And so there's that you have to contend with. But at the same time, if you're really opposed to what's going on in this, are you more open now, Hakeem and Democrats? Are you more open to breaking this gigantic piece of shit down into individual bills?
Hey, I'd love that.
Can we do that?
I mean, I believe that's what Matt Gaetz was all about, back when he was in Congress. I mean, they've been trying to get that for a while.
Because what does it come down to with that? What it comes down to with that is that you want to talk about people in the military getting a paycheck. That's going to pass, 545 or however many people there are in Congress to none.
Right.
They're going to get rid of that. You're going to have it's going to be unanimous for wherever it is. It's just that both sides, and they love it for different reasons, because everybody gets to then compromise on theft.
Yes.
Both sides compromise on what each side is going to steal from us.
Yeah.
Republicans want to steal X amount from us for one reason or another, or a declared reason, while it gets siphoned off and wasted in some way.
Yeah.
Democrats want to steal X amount from us to siphon it off and do something on their own. Mm-hmm. And all of that is made possible by attaching it to the nucleus that is doing things that the Constitution tells you must do.
Yeah.
It's so fucking, so, that's just what we have to deal with here.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's Mad Max. In my heart of hearts, I don't expect anybody to come forward and, have a wholesome bill that is all of a sudden we go from 3 trillion down to a couple $100 billion and we're only funding bare bones and everything's gone. And that's not, we're talking about a major change of culture that it's going to require another 75 years.
Yeah.
If we've got the fortitude to keep marching in that direction.
Yeah.
But there's some other great stuff going on. I didn't see any of the Hakeem Jeffries things. Is that the reason why he tweeted that picture of him with the baseball bat? Like
no.
He was.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe he was saying like batter up, to himself. I think that was prior because his long speech was this morning. I think it started at like 4 or 5 in the morning and went till 11 or something.
See, that's the thing. People like him do shit like that because they think that they're going to get their own chapter in the 2027 edition of American history textbooks that are given to inner city kids. They think they're going to get their own blurb on chapter 27, the resistance to Trump 2.0 or whatever. But there's Hakeem Jeffries talking for 7 hours and not saying anything, knowing that the bill's going to pass anyway.
Right.
So, I look at that and I say, what the hell, man? It's what could he have been doing for 7 hours? That's why I say you could have you could have been voting on individual bills.
That's how you just know it all truly is just theater, just political theater, pure and simple. And again, I don't have any love for any of these people. I was watching something on a YouTube channel, Hidden History, that was all about Lindsey Graham. It was like 30 minutes. It was so interesting because they walked through like all of his votes over the years and his complete flip-flopping. He's basically just bought and paid for. So if I pay him $5 to say no on a bill, he'll say no, unless you pay him $6 to say yes. And then he'll say yes. Unless, of course, I come back with $7 to tell him again to say no. Like he has no opinions, no moral compass. It's just, I will take whatever I can get and I will do your bidding. And I feel like that's most of them.
Yeah.
And the irony is the few people that actually stand up for something, and this is where I have all kinds of issues with the supposed conservative side of the party, like when who was the other speaker? The guy we got rid of, Kevin McCarthy, the only speaker to ever be, taken out. I remember when Matt Gaetz was leading that charge, and I remember these so-called conservative voices like Newt Gingrich. They called Matt Gaetz a traitor for doing that. Now, you can disagree because some people say, well, there's no plan after, but a traitor, that was the word they used. So, in these moments, I think you get to see, again, the veil gets really thin. You get to see what people are made of and what they actually really care about. And I feel like maybe if you're lucky, there's 3 or 4, maybe a half dozen really good people in there who are trying to do the right thing, and they are just dramatically outnumbered by House and Senate members.
I know.
That's the way I look at it.
I know. And then at that point, they get dragged. If they show any kind of adherence to their principles, then they get dragged.
Yeah.
Too.
Yeah.
So we've seen that happen as well. Sure. So I understand all sides of it.
Yeah.
I understand all sides of it. Definitely not a place that I want to be a part of, which is why I want an opt-out. That's all I want. I want an opt-out to it all.
Frank, and I was thinking of this on the way in here. I was like, this is why, because I've had people message me before and say, oh, you should run for something. I'm like, I don't want to be part of that body. Those people disgust me. But what's the other side of that, Frank? If people who are actually honest and want to do the right thing and really can't be bought don't get involved, then we get stuck with these people. Like, these are not the best of us. I think we have to stop pretending that the members of Congress are somehow the best of us. They are not at all the best of us. The best of us don't want to have anything to do with that. And then you have that debate. Is that a problem, right? Should we, more of us who actually do want to stand for something, get up there and try it? But I mean, again, you're dramatically outnumbered. But as you said, it needs to be like a societal, cultural shift for people who have something to stand for and who have a moral compass that really can't be compromised, want to actually take on that responsibility.
Well, you know what they used to call it? And that's why they said, well, that's why it needs to be you. And and it's because back in the 18th century, the founding generation, They called it disinterestedness. And if you had an aura of disinterestedness, that made you attractive to people who wanted you to ascend to one public office or another, because a person who actually is hesitant about doing it, doesn't want anything to do with it, right, and loathes, just the institution at large, they believe that person who is disinterested in taking up that mantle will actually abuse the powers less.
Yes.
And this is also, it's also that can become, the centerpiece of your act as well.
Of course.
No, it can't be me. It mustn't be me.
I couldn't.
Well, yeah, exactly. So back, for example, many people, you want to talk about that first generation post revolution or during the revolution, Americans in media, especially. If you were a statesman or something like that, and you were writing in one publication or another, you're usually taking up a pen name. For example, James Madison, John Jay, and Alexander Hamilton, I think for the Federalist Papers, they all shared the name Publius. I think what the hell was it? Thomas Paine with Common Sense.
Right.
Whatchamacall? Benjamin Franklin was Silence Do Good. You remember that?
Yes.
They all picked, people in that era picked up pen names, especially if you're talking about something that had to do with public policy, foreign policy, something domestic, philosophical, whatever. They did that for one reason. The first and foremost reason was so that people would read the argument they were putting forth, and the thought they were putting forth, the analysis they were putting forth, without considering the person as a public figure or a celebrity.
Frank, and I think that is we could learn a valuable lesson from that today, because in the day it might have been necessary. Today, I think it's essential, because you can use someone like Donald Trump. Somebody earlier today had this great point. They said, I know who it was. It was because I was listening to this on the way up here. I was listening to the Tucker Carlson RFK interview. And at the outset of that interview, RFK said, Donald Trump is not only setting the Republican agenda, he's also setting the Democrat agenda. And you systematically walk through, because they hate him so much that it doesn't matter if it's an issue that they are actually in favor of. Once Trump takes a position that is in line with theirs, they will change their position. If you took Donald Trump's ideas and removed the TDS, removed the name Donald Trump, I really do believe that even more people would have been on board with what he was trying to do. So I agree with you. I think that pseudonym aspect would be even more beneficial today, because you just get down to the ideas and you lose the emotion, and it's just more heightened today because of social media and everything. So I think that's fantastic. Something we should think about. Let's bring it back, Frank. How do we bring back the pen name?
I know if anybody wants to read a really great book that goes into that aspect of it, of American life, especially with the pen name and all that stuff, you should definitely go pick up a book called Confounding Father, Thomas Jefferson. Hold on, wait a second. Let me pick it up. Hold on, wait. I want to go look at it up.
Yeah.
Confounding Father, Thomas Jefferson's image in his own time.
Wow.
Okay, so obviously there's a lot of rivalries at that time. He and Adams were at each other's throats until later in life, but they were also, they also were very close in the beginning. Jefferson and Hamilton hated each other. Right. Hamilton was like in many ways a very divisive snake, whispering into the ear of George Washington. So Confounding Father, it's a great book, and if you want to read something that is nonfiction, that's what I would do. What were you going to say? Go ahead.
No, and I was going to say, and I believe in Washington's farewell address, this is why he was so against parties, because he was afraid that the parties would begin to take over for themselves rather than in service of the people, which is obviously the difference between a statesman and a politician. We don't have statesmen anymore. We have politicians. Yeah. And by definition, they just simply play the game. And so, yeah, I mean, it's why I've always inherently not wanted to be part of a party. We talk about this here, even from my perspective in the health sciences. I don't ever want to become part of a camp, because I feel like even though I'm hyper aware of the human tendency to dig into a position or want to be accepted by a group, it comes with inherent dangers, and those dangers are, generally speaking, lack of introspection. You will lose your ability to assess your own stance on something. And I think we're going to talk about that a little bit today. We talked about it earlier today during show prep, but I just really feel like it's important to maintain your individuality. And it's harder and harder to do today because people want to put you in a box.
Yeah.
You know?
I know. And then if you fight that, being put in the box, someone will call you a fence sitter.
Right.
And he's like,
a flip-flopper.
I don't know.
I remember when George W. Bush called John Kerry, that was when that term really, to my knowledge, really entered the public consciousness. That was the first time I ever really, it was like used as a political slur, and it really worked. Like George W. Bush, a moron. But man, he slayed John Kerry with that. And there was an easy way out of it for John Kerry, but John Kerry's not so bright. So he couldn't figure it out. Right. But then you realize neither of them are too bright, right? It's like well, anyway.
No, I know.
I get myself in trouble. But yeah, that flip-flopping thing, it's like, what do you mean? You mean, in other words, AKA adjusting your position when new facts present themselves? Is that what you mean by flip-flopper? I mean, It's just so simple to intellectually steamroll George W. Bush. And John Kerry was just like, I'm not a flip-flopper. You're like, you're useless. You're completely useless.
Well, you think John Kerry's still doing his thing.
I know.
Logan Act and all, just around the world. His face, the poles are not melting. His face is.
Absolutely.
It's just really incredible what we've seen. Well, listen, we have a couple of things that I want to do tonight.
Okay.
Before we jump in there, I have two quick announcements. The first one is on the Quite Frankly Rumble channel over the weekend. I just want to call your attention to this. My family, my father in particular, kept the VCR recording all weekend in 1986 for Liberty Weekend in 1986. And that, of course, next year that's going to be 40 years. And I can't wait to do a family summer broadcast next summer to go through all of the 1986 footage we have, because it was so much better than the 1993 footage that I thought was already a summertime pinnacle. But with this going on at that time, this was the 100-year anniversary of the Statue of Liberty. And my father, I've got 5.5 hours. I've got 5.5 hours of Liberty Weekend 1986 television programming, commercials and all.
So, this must be a dad thing. You know what that means? Because the VHS tapes, I believe, were only 2 hours, maybe?
Yeah.
Depending on if you did, I think there was a way to record it at a slower rate, but you get less quality. Anyway, my point is he had to change tapes, and he had to, that was a thing. My dad did the same thing with Live Aid. He has the whole a VHS recording of the original Live Aid.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's actually pretty cool. You can go back.
Have
and
you
watch.
Digitized it? You should get that. I have a guy you can send it to. He's amazing.
Yeah?
He did every tape that I own and that my family owns. I saved all my family history.
Cool.
No, he's good. His name
this is great. Live Aid was I got to watch that as years later, watching original performances. It was really fun. But that anyway, the reason I bring it up is because that's dedication on your dad's part, because that requires kind of monitoring the situation over the course of the time. So that's pretty coday.
Yeah, look,
that's
there
cool.
It is. You see?
Oh yeah.
Weekend 1986. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. There's something going on. All day. It's going to start around, I think, 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock, and it'll go for about 5.5 hours. Every presentation, every dedication, every performance, the fireworks, it's all in there. Plus commercials.
The commercials are fun
that we used to hate.
Absolutely.
Whenever Thanksgiving rolls around, I don't watch what goes down Fifth Avenue anymore.
No.
I don't watch any of that shit anymore. I go to. You have no clue how many decades worth of full Thanksgiving Day parades are Macy's Thanksgiving Day parades. They're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
I watch all through the 90s, the late 80s, the things I remembered and I don't remember. The quality of everything is so good, even though the presentation television wise was, it's not as HD as we remember it today, but there was a level of lighthearted goofiness that is, you can tell is just faked in ridiculous ways today, because everybody is so serious and so provocative. And so I don't know. It's just, and everybody lip syncs now.
I know.
The worst lip syncing in the world is Thanksgiving morning.
Really?
Listen, I'm sure everybody they have some sort of a backup when they go on the road with their act or something these days. The worst lip syncing in the world that you can mark it down every year is the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Wow. Okay.
I don't even know why they even try. Just play the track and have everybody just dance around. It's so stupid.
Remember when lip singing was like like verboten? You know, you could not. It was not a thing. I remember it was American Bandstand or one of those big shows made you lip sync, and there was some band. I'm gonna get this wrong. It's a historical thing. I feel like it might have been like John Cougar Mellencamp or somebody didn't want to lip sync, and so in order to make a mockery of it, they, instead of having their actual instruments, they had like ridiculous instruments like washboards and banjos to play a regular song to obviously show that they weren't playing. I just remember that.
But wait a second. There were several live television protests like that. I think even on Ed Sullivan.
Maybe.
I think that I think Jim Morrison and the Doors did it.
I know he got in trouble for saying on Ed Sullivan what he said hi, and you're not supposed to say that. She gets high. He was told backstage, you can't say she gets high. And he's like, okay, fine. And then they went out on stage and he literally said, she gets high. And he went like right into the camera. I believe that was the last time the Doors ever played Ed Sullivan.
But there was others. But
there might have been lip syncing protests as well.
Lip syncing protests.
I am derailing the show, everybody.
Yeah, fuck it. 10 singer. I know that Nirvana did it at some point. I just don't know where.
That makes sense. I could see them doing that.
Hold on. I mean, there's Milli Vanilli.
Well, yeah, but that was unintentional.
And that ruined them.
I mean, one of the guys died.
Yeah,
right?
eventually. Wasn't it suicide?
I think so. It's so sad.
I know. Oh, yeah, here's a Nirvana one. Smells Like Teen Spirit, Butcher. Hold on.
I feel like it was John Cougar Mellencamp that I'm thinking of, but...
Hold on. Look, hold on.
I do remember this.
Yeah, see, things are better back then. Yeah, well, what are you going to do?
Kurt Cobain was very, he wasn't into that kind of stuff.
There's a lot of, and I love those. There's a lot of great stories of lip sync protests, but nobody's protesting on Thanksgiving Day Parade. They're like, I will do what you want me to do, and then I want to get out of here because I'm cold. It's always horrible weather.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. So there's going to be a Liberty Weekend broadcast on Rumble starting at 3:00, and it's just going to go for 5.5 hours. And we have other announcements throughout the evening. We'll do that before something else. Okay, so here's another one. Here's another one for you. RFK.
Okay.
Where do you want to start? Because so much happened over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So much. And when I see it, I just put it aside. I say Jay Gould night. And first I have is the Gavi. Right. He froze all U.S. funding for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, Bill Gates. So there's that. What did he say? He said unaccountable policy making is over. He continues to make statements like that. Yeah. But then there's more on this front. Do you have anything on Gavi you want to say to fill us in on this?
No, why don't you go through a few more of them? Because I want to try to like sew it all up together. Because if for anybody that hasn't seen the Tucker interview with RFK, definitely watch it. It's full of statistics, but also if you really want to understand how the sausage is made, and I guess maybe I can start by saying I know that there's a lot of consternation in the MAHA community, and then just people who don't even necessarily associate with MAHA, because I know a lot of people who are still like anti-Trump, and then they don't like RFK now because he's part of Donald Trump's administration, but I know they still care about health. And I'm trying to get through to those people and say, do you understand the good things are happening? You're never going to get everything you want. I think we have to stop this childlike mentality that because RFK and Trump are in the positions they're at, that they can just wave a magic wand. Because the media tells you he's a dictator, he's a king. If that were the case, then we would get everything we want. We don't get everything we want because of the immense bureaucracy that both men are up against. I still believe that both Donald Trump and RFK are adhering to the principles that got them where they are right now. I really still do believe that. And RFK is making strides in vaccines, in the food industry, but people want to find something to tear him down for. And there was a whole, I don't know if you saw this whole thing about, he made this comment about wearables.
Yes.
Set everybody in my community on fire. They all turned against him. Oh, so the government can track us, do all these. I'm like, look, I get what you're saying. Wearables have a place. They can be completely abused. I don't think he's saying we're going to mandate wearables so the government can track you. You take it down a notch, right?
But can you explain like in what way was this a wearable? Because I know people who are walking around with glucose monitoring all day.
That's what he was talking about. Mostly glucose monitors. But like I have a wearable right here, right? And I get it, but my data stays with me. You know, like I understand the fear, absolutely well-founded. I completely agree. But I also understand the utility as a clinician. And so I have to walk that line because I am a conspiracy theorist, proud to say so, but I'm also a clinician who understands that a continuous glucose monitor, which he specifically highlighted, has immense benefits in understanding the way your body responds to food. But I saw doctors who I respect come out saying, that's a bunch of crap. They actually even said the bullshit MAHA movement. And I was like, see, this is what I'm talking about. You will get nowhere acting like that. Because he said something about wearables, now you're going to discount all the other things he's doing, even if you completely disagree with him on wearables, which I don't. I only partially agree with him.
Because I didn't hear it, but
Right.
I've heard a few people talk about this.
Yeah.
Did he expand that to anything beyond like what would be the glucose monitor at the end? Because I have people in my family that do that right now.
Not in that particular hearing.
Nothing subdermal or anything like that. No RFID.
No.
Okay.
No. But I mean, that data may, if you want, may be shared with your doctor so they can, but again, this is also predicated on the doctor-patient confidentiality. And I am not for that data going to corporations or any of that stuff. Absolutely not. I don't want that. But if you're talking about privately or with you and your doctor, there's immense value there. I just don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Because I've been advocating for CGMs, continuous glucose monitors, to become over-the-counter in this country because they're over-the-counter in other countries. Because I think it's valuable. I've worn one. I've had one on here before. You learn a lot. So but I'm seeing this fracture, and I think that's intentional. And in the story we'll talk about in a little bit, I think this might be intentional, like using influencers to sow division in what otherwise is the first time we're ever even having these conversations. Right? And I'm so frustrated because there are a lot of really smart people that I think are taking the bait.
He says this on Gavi. He says, we're now living at, this is RFK. He says, we're now living at a time of upheaval, a time of popular revolt against established institutions that have lost the public trust, and that includes medicine. Mm-hmm. A major concern that I share, this is on freezing Gavi's funding. A major concern that I share with the president is how the World Health Organization and Gavi partnered together during COVID-19 pandemic to recommend best practices and social media companies to silence best practices for social media companies to silence dissenting views. Yeah. In addition, Gavi has continued to make questionable recommendations encouraging pregnant women to receive certain shots. Despite the many problems with Gavi, Kennedy says he doesn't want to destroy. He says there's much that I admire about Gavi, very diplomatic, especially its commitment to making medicine affordable to all the world's people. Unfortunately, in its zeal to promote universal vaccination, it has neglected the key issue of vaccine safety. Yeah. When safety issues have come before Gavi, Gavi has treated them not as patient health problem, but as a public relations problem.
Exactly.
So that's number one with Gavi. Then you have stuff like this. Now this is just rapid fire stuff.
Okay.
Now we're at the last couple of days of June. Around June 25th or so, Dr. Scott Gottlieb. I wonder if he's related to Sidney Gottlieb of MK Ultra. Dr. Scott Gottlieb says RFK Jr. will be forcing vaccine manufacturers to remove aluminum, and he's freaking out about the idea that aluminum might be taken out of these shots. Take a listen to this.
There is a movement among the Secretary, Kennedy, and others in the anti-vax movement to take alum out of vaccines. So alum it's an aluminum salt. It's used in about 7 different pediatric vaccines, including one by Pfizer, as an adjuvant. So it helps stimulate an immune response. So they want to force manufacturers, I believe, to reformulate those vaccines. that would be a major issue because this is a very safe ingredient. It's been used for 70 years. There's really no alternative. And if they force manufacturers to have to reformulate all those pediatric vaccines, I think you'd see a lot of vaccines potentially come off the market because there is no good alternative.
Meaning that they would no longer be effective, they wouldn't stimulate the immune
There
system?
is no good, the other adjuvants that you could potentially use probably aren't as safe, but if you had to reformulate those vaccines, it would create a real dislocation in the market.
Yeah, the market.
They aren't as safe as aluminum. I mean, this guy, so remember, this is a revolving door guy. This was head of the FDA. Now he's on the board of Pfizer.
And by the way, just want to say, I know the thing, I know we're live everywhere right now. This is mainstream media.
Yeah.
And this is the current administration. We're talking about the statements that are being put out there by the head of HHS.
Yeah.
And I'm talking right now with a clinical nutritionist.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's...
And here's the other
let's
thing.
do it here.
That term adjuvant, I think that's important that the audience understands what that is. When you inject an antigen, which is, a piece of a attenuated virus or whatever you're vaccinating against, you need to stimulate the immune system, and that inactive antigen, is not going to provoke an immune response. So you need something to essentially set the immune system to alert. And that's what the adjuvants are for. The problem is they're non-specific. They just high alert the immune system. So could you get a response to the antigen with this high alert adjuvant? Yes. Could you get a random response from the immune system based on the adjuvant to pollen, foods, anything else in the person's environment? Absolutely. And that's the problem. And this may also be why we're seeing a massive rise in correlation with the increased schedule. We're seeing a massive rise in autoimmune conditions, food allergies, everything you can name. And it could be because of these adjuvants. So my question is to Scott Gottlieb, what if this, God forbid, sets back the profit margin of some of these companies? They have to go back and reformulate, and they're actually able to create something that works, that doesn't have the downsides of a random immune response, and everybody gets the benefit. But see, these people don't even want to discuss that because all they care about is what you said, very importantly, the way he assesses this, market.
It's going to upset the market.
Yeah, that's all that this is. And again, we're going to go into a Brownstone article that I'll read just a couple of paragraphs from that I think really highlights what's going on here. RFK is walking probably the tightest of tightropes, and he is trying to reset a playing field that does not want to be reset. And I just think it's really important to understand that.
I have a couple. This next article is from Vigilant Fox that breaks down the interview that you watched with RFK and Tucker Carlson. And I did see the clips of him talking specifically about hepatitis B, which I always thought was one of the most egregious things to push on to parents of newborn children in a hospital, because you're talking about we need to get this sexually transmitted disease vaccine into your 3-hour-old
just
baby.
in case.
Like what? So, I mean, one way or another, say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
No, no, thank you. And he said this, HHS secretary sits down for 90 minutes with Tucker Carlson. He revealed that the health agency, the CDC, did you hear this, YouTube? This is the current HHS director talking with the media about CDC studies, okay? He revealed that the health agency buried a 1999 internal study led by researcher Thomas Verstraeten, which showed an alarming 1,135% increase in autism risk from hepatitis B vaccine alone. Kennedy said that the researchers were shocked by the findings. So what did they do? They covered it up, according to Kennedy. Quote, they got rid of all the older children, essentially, and just had younger children who are too young to be diagnosed, end quote. There's a published article out there now that says that 50% of revenues to most pediatricians now come from vaccines. So he's talking about money. He's also talking about corrupted science and, of course, cover-ups that are directly related with injured children. That now decades have gone by, and all those people, all those parents have been given a boogeyman, a genetic link. They've been given something else to put all their rationalization into. And of course, they've also been assigned, a new villain, which is the anti-vaxxers that are coming in and, and trying to put any responsibility on anywhere. But anyway, that's a little bit of this. You go ahead, because this was the last, again, this was on June 30th. And then we had more. Let me just throw this all out there.
Yeah.
The next day, July 1st, CNBC again. Healthy returns. What to know about the CDC vaccine panel's vote against the mercury preservative in flu shots. So this started getting around that the CDC vaccine panel votes to remove mercury preservatives, the thimerosal that everybody's been talking about for decades now. I don't know to what end that vote will go and how much weight it is going to have to affect the way the manufacturers are putting product out onto the marketplace. But between all this stuff, I mean, that was July 1st, and we're moving right along here, man. I mean, that's a lot to digest. What do you got?
I know. Well, I believe thimerosal is only in a very small percentage of current vaccines, but you can actually check. I said this on the show before, I don't have it up, but if you just type in to any search engine excipient list, CDC, you'll get the entire CDC, every vaccine they have and everything that's in them, which is great. So if you really want to do your homework, you can figure out which one of your favorite flu shots has polysorbate 80 and thimerosal and whatever. Usually it's in those multivalent shots. So you can go figure that out for yourself. But see, even if you raise that logical argument that you just raised, right? Even if you do that, and Kennedy points this out in the interview, you could believe in every vaccine that's ever been made, but you question why. Okay, I'll take 91 doses between age one, but do I need my 3-hour-old to be injected with something to prevent them from getting a sexually transmitted disease or a drug, or an intravenous drug use? That's it. There's no other, right? Do I really need that one? You're an anti-vaxxer, right? Because these pejoratives, they have worked. I'm not going to say they work because I'm not sure they work actually anymore. It's like using racism, right? Eventually people are just like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So this is an article from Brownstone, and I want to show you a couple things. And I also, since we're talking about the flu shot, I did send you a screenshot. I thought this was fascinating. I read a Substack from this individual who did some data crunching and put together one of these great graphs with flu shot deaths over like 100-year span and cross-reference that with flu shot availability in the population. Man, that graph is incredible. Because
I'm looking at it right now. You want to put it on the screen?
Yeah, sure. I got it in front of me too.
Okay. So what are we looking at?
So let me see. I had it in front of me. Yeah, I do. So every year on Substack, I write a flu shot update article. So what you're looking at is historical data from 1900 to 2020. And the red line is deaths per 100,000.
From the disease.
Right, from the flu. Okay. So it's pretty high, way back in 1900. But you see a dramatic decrease. And right around you start to level off, where would you say, like in the late 1940s, early 1950s, right?
1948 is when, yeah.
And there's like sanitation. There's a whole bunch of, therapeutics. There's a lot of things that have prevented flu deaths. What you're seeing on the right side of the screen in that dotted blue line, that is flu shot vaccine uptake. Do you notice any change in the mortality curve with the introduction of the flu vaccine?
Barely anything.
Yeah. And the precipitous drop was well before any flu vaccine ever existed. And you can do this with almost every single disease. But I thought flu shot was so interesting because it's so recent that most of us remember when there really wasn't any push for flu shots at all. In fact, it was like the 80s and like the early 90s where they really started to drive home this message that you needed your flu shot. And that's where you see that blue dotted line spike almost completely vertical. But notice the mortality curve does nothing.
Yeah.
So your flu shot from a population level is doing nothing, but it may be causing harm. And there are plenty of claims on flu shot harms. And that's even covered in the CDC data. So again, I do a whole breakdown of this on my Substack. Every year I put out and I'm going to add this new graph into my updated version because somebody had done the work, and I cross-referenced it, and I was like, this is pretty spectacular. And I wanted to show it on this episode because I knew we were going to be talking about this. So these are the kinds of things that RFK is talking about. So when people tell you he's an anti-vaxxer, he's looking at real data, and he's trying to do something that no one has had the balls to do in decades, is reset the course so that after he's gone, things maybe can self-correct, and maybe we can get some population health back, and maybe children won't be allergic to everything under the sun anymore, like peanuts and all of these things that could be, and that's what he's trying to figure out, could be driven by a massive amount of adjuvants being injected into a young child before they're, in some cases, before their immune system is fully developed.
Yeah, the adjuvants, not the attenuated virus.
Not the antigen,
or,
right, the adjuvants.
Right. So that's...
So it's just, I mean, I think this kind of stuff is really important. And so let me just read this really quick. This is a Brownstone Institute article that I highly recommend. It's called The Plot to Get RFK. I'm not going to read you the whole thing, but on the eve before the U.S. Senate reconvenes, a detailed secret trade association memo plotted the removal of U.S. Secretary of Health and Human Services Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has leaked. It reads like a coup attempt against regulatory reform, and they are spending millions to make sure Kennedy is out of office by September. So this is still very relevant. This article was only published 2 days ago. It seems that the Biotechnology Innovation Organization, BIO, whose membership includes Pfizer, Merck, Novavax, Vaxcyte, and hundreds of biotech firms that profit from regulatory insulation, has a mole. And this article critiques the documented lobbying behavior of the trade group BIO, not the internal operations or clinical data of its member corporations. There's a lot of stuff here, but I want to just read these last two paragraphs called The Plot Exposed. The document opens with a blunt political calculation. Kennedy's candidacy threatens investor confidence, regulatory predictability, which basically means like rubber stamping things to market, and the long-term viability of the vaccine business. Bio leadership in the apparent leaked document states plainly, quote, "It is time to go to the Hill and lobby that it is time for RFK Jr. to go." To achieve this, according to the document, Bio intends to deploy surrogates across the political spectrum, co-opt conservative influencers, and that goes back to the point I made earlier, and bypass direct engagement with the Kennedy campaign altogether. Among the figures named as political allies in this covert effort, Dr. Oz, former Senator Richard Burr.
That guy.
Senator Bill Cassidy. Can't stand that guy. And the American Enterprise Institute. These individuals and institutions, the memo suggests, can provide a veneer of bipartisan legitimacy to Bio's core aim. Neutralize Kennedy without ever addressing the substance of his critique.
Yes.
And now I could go on. This article is amazing.
Burr was in the middle of all that Senate intelligence nonsense with Russiagate.
Oh, was he?
Oh, he was a major player in the middle of that Russian bullshit in 2017 and all that stuff.
And interesting, they identify Oz as a potential voice of reason, so everybody at home, keep a close eye on Dr. Oz too. But this follows the money and the campaign they're working on. But you know what it doesn't mention in any piece of this document? Health. They never once talk about health. It is all about market share and money, and we're losing, and the investment, and that's all they care about. So when you have a problem with RFK because he's talking about a CGM or whatever, understand what is going on behind the scenes. And anybody who's working this hard to remove RFK, that's why I put my support behind him. I don't agree with everything he says, but I don't have to. I understand the position he has been put in, and right now, he's the guy for the job. So I just think this article is important to read because you really want to understand what these people are up against. And as slow as you think it's going, I really do think there's a lot of positive developments here. So
I'm with you. And I want to get into some more on that because you know who I spoke with today? Just in general, you want to take health and you want to level it out a little bit more. You know what? Before we do that, I want to say two quick things because I'm going to get to your super chats in just a second. Tonight, because it is it's 4th of July Eve, the Tom Sawyer book has come in, and I told you Ron Oswald out there said that he'd like to pay it forward. So I'm going to be anybody who sends in a super chat on quitefranklysuperchat.com, YouTube, the Rumble rants on either Rumble, Badlands, or Quite Frankly, and through Pilled. the gold pills. I'm going to get you guys into a name picker. Not only are you getting Tom Sawyer, you're getting one of the Get Dressed You're Going patriotic bumper stickers.
Nice.
And Tony Arterburn from Quite Frankly Gold sent over another ounce of silver.
What?
So we're giving away silver. We're giving away a timeless American classic summer read book with inscriptions from me and Aurora, and also a bumper sticker. So send, for the next hour, you send in a super chat anywhere. It's going to put your name in there. It's silver, guys. Okay. You're talking about something that's worth $36 in itself. So I don't know, throw a few pennies in and you might win.
I'm going to super chat you right now.
$50 worth of shit.
No, Jay, you can't be in the name picker.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? I also want to talk to you about Noor bin Laden. I was talking to Noor today because I hadn't seen Noor bin Laden anywhere for what felt like months.
Mm-hmm.
So I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, hope everything's well with you. Haven't seen you around. Let me know you're all right." And finally she got back to me, and she has not been around. She's been taking a hiatus. And I give people a lot of credit when they're able to just dip out for a while, reset themselves, stay, especially when you deal with, especially over there in Switzerland, where she is, running around tracking all these globalists at Davos.
Someone's
got
to do it. Yeah.
Anyway, she was telling me about her trip to the United States in December. I didn't even know she was here in the United States. Apparently she went down to Phoenix for some kind of turning point event. I don't know what it was.
Oh, okay.
But she was down there in Phoenix, and she said, "Frank, it was so sad for me to see what had happened. I used to come to the United States a lot when I was a child, and it was my thing I look forward to every year because of just the way things were, our experiences, the people's mentality, whatever." She said it was so sad to see what happened. And what she spoke about mostly was the food.
Yeah.
She said, "Frank, what you're eating over there is horrendous." Yeah. She said that wherever the hell she was, what she realized is that, we have a lot of political issues over there in Europe. But the one thing that she is very grateful for is the quality of the water and the quality of the food and the things, certain standards that they have there that we don't have over here. But even price is what was crazy. She told me that when she got back to Switzerland, it took her skin still is not totally right.
Wow.
Since December, she said she was like breaking out by the time she left the United States. And that it didn't, even choosing to buy relatively healthy things didn't even move the needle too much, whether it was a hearty salad or something like that. And when I was talking to her about that, she said it was crazy. The thing that got me is because, we can talk about ingredients all the time, but what she was mentioning is the prices. She says, "Frank, not only was it on par, if not more expensive than Europe, but even Switzerland prices. It's crazy what you guys are paying for food that is so low quality." And that's the thing, I told her, I said, what's really incredible about that statement right there, Noor, is that especially people who stand by things like seed oils and vegetable oils and all these things that are supposedly safe and totally nutritious, or at the least neutral, that they're supposed to give us these tools, these culinary tools at our disposal that are cheap, that we can produce more food for more people and keep prices down.
Right.
And she's talking about how not only is it destroying her skin being here for a couple of weeks, but that she's paying more money than she does when she's in Switzerland. I said,
it's so true. Next time she's here, we need to tell her, listen, we're going to go to Amos Miller's farm. We're going to have a meal there. And this is, I've heard you mention this a few times, Frank, the beauty of doing, when you can, purchasing some degree of your, whatever percentage of your food from a farm like Amos Miller or any, organic farm. If you know the farmer, Amish farms just tend to be fantastic because of their philosophy of life. But you also aren't as disrupted by supply chain issues. The price of eggs at the Amish farms didn't really increase when the price of eggs increased everywhere else. If things increased, it was only because fuel took a huge hit during the Biden administration. But by and large, their prices are pretty stable and their food quality is the best quality in the world. So even though I understand, unfortunately, most people aren't going to be able to get all of their food from an Amish farm, you really should try to get some of your mainstays from places like US Wellness Meats or any local farm, because it will pay dividends in the long run. And again, you will be somewhat insulated from that price shock when things get destabilized because of supply chains or fuel costs. They don't really absorb that cost as much as your typical grocery store. So from a financial perspective, you may pay a little more for the eggs overall, but I think that kind of evens out. And then certainly from the health perspective, you set yourself up for success later in life instead of having to pay for pharmaceutical drugs and all kinds of other stuff that's going to be problematic later on down the road.
Yeah,
So,
right.
You know?
Yeah,
It's amazing she had that experience, though. It's too
It
bad.
is, and I hope I can get her back on the show soon. She says, she'd love to come out from hiding a little bit and and hang out here. It's always great to have her on. I'm just happy she's all right because she went radio silence.
Yeah.
But the other thing she told me, and she says, Frank, another thing that really scared me is that in a couple of places, including one of the airports that she was at,
Oh no.
they refused cash.
Oh.
And I said, Nor, I'll tell you, this is something that is happening all over the place. And you want to talk about what the hell's that called? Crisis in Leviathan. What's that phenomenon where there's a crisis, something is thrown upon a person, and all of a sudden there's extenuating circumstances. You go outside the bounds of the law, or you dismiss certain civil liberties. You just get down to fixing it, whatever.
Right.
And you create authority where there should be none. And then when the crisis diminishes, when the waters roll back a little bit, you're never back all the way to that last watermark. There's just a little bit changed about it. And that, of course, is the new normal. And that's how, after over the course of 100 years of that, the sediments of tyranny is laid on through all types of, in the moment rationalizations that people don't think anything bad about, but it creates an amazing war chest of tools down the line when you've amassed so much precedent in society. This is one of those things. She said she wanted to buy something. It's only about $45. I don't know where she was. And she wanted to pay cash because, she has European bank cards and it wasn't working here or something I don't know what the hell it was. But she wanted to pay cash and they said, no, sorry, no cash. And I said, Nora, this happened in Connecticut to me a little bit earlier, late last year.
I remember you saying that.
Dude, this is what I'm talking about. You want to talk about COVID protocols and all that stuff, things that have been made normal beyond what is being recommended by doctors.
Right.
I walked into this little chicken shop. It was, we were out taking Aurora someplace, and while she was with Lauren doing something, I said, I'm going to go across the street and grab myself a wrap. So I went across the street and I ended up paying for something that was so little. I took out a small wad of cash and I was handed over a 10 for something that was maybe around $7 and change. They said, sorry, we don't take cash. I said, what do you mean you don't take cash? This is the United. This is legal tender.
Where am I?
They said, well, it's just protocol since COVID. I said, okay, well, listen, I'm going to give you my card and I'll pay for this because I'm not going to steal it. But you need to go, and I'm a New Yorker, but I research whatever this for one reason or another. I end up researching things randomly, and I knew this about Connecticut, just like New York. I said, you need to go and look up Connecticut state law. You cannot refuse cash here.
Wow.
But again, in 2020, you had state, federal, regional authorities telling people civil rights fucking be damned. We need to create contactless society right now.
Frank, money is dirty, but accepting modified mRNA in your body is totally safe. Aluminum is totally fine. It's no problem. But money, that's the problem. I mean, you're right. It's that totalitarian tiptoe, right? You just slowly boil the frog. And that is, I have not come into contact with that. I don't even know what I would say to somebody who said, we don't take cash.
I mean, I wasn't going to cause a fight.
No, I know.
But
It's
I mean,
remarkable.
especially since this is just a person getting, they're ringing up sandwiches.
Yeah, it's not their policy, but that's how, you're right. That's how they get people used to that bullshit. And of course, what's the ultimate goal is to be able to track every purchase everybody makes everywhere, every time, always and forever.
Lauren just texted me, said Oakland Beach doesn't accept cash for their daily rate on the beach.
I just hope people will stop going to those places.
Well, that's all, ultimately that's what it is. That's what it is. You test it. People say, oh, okay. And let's be honest. It doesn't matter if you're paying $175 for something. Somebody's probably charging it to their debit card.
Sure.
I mean, we are using digital money in a great way.
No doubt.
It has been largely digital. I understand that.
Yes.
So to say that it's going to be more feasible for every beach kiosk booth to have a full tray of cash there so they can make change. I understand what is easier and what's, I understand it, but is this not the currency of the country? You have to there's some things you just can't do away with.
Frank, do you remember when they got rid of toll booths?
Yeah, it's all gone. It's all Easy Pass now, even if you don't have Easy Pass.
Exactly.
If you don't have Easy Pass, they take a picture of your license plate and they mail you a bill.
Yes.
If you have Easy Pass, you will get obviously just charged to your phone and you'll have a lesser rate. But the toll booth attendant, and that used to be a career for people.
And what could you do? You could move from state to state, sometimes within a state or interstate travel, relatively anonymously. You can't do that anymore. And people think it's like, oh, this is great. I don't have to stop at the toll booth. And I remember when this happened,
it is great though.
Well, flying through is great, but when you really think of the repercussions, again, you're always what is it? It is the perception of convenience, and even sometimes the actual minor conveniences that you accept, and then all the back end is, well, Mr. Velbiro, where were you traveling the other day en route? I'm just saying, it's just another one of those things that you just can't do anything anonymously in this country anymore. It's weird. It's weird, and we all accept it.
Yeah.
I
know. So that was my call. That was my talk with Nor today.
Yeah.
Well, oh my gosh.
I hope she's feeling better.
Yeah. Well, I think her skin.
That's what I mean. I don't know. Her gut microbiome probably got completely wrecked because, I don't even know if where she's from, she's used to looking out for things like seed oils. Next time she comes here, I'll give her like a hit list of things to watch out for and ingredients to watch out for, because you have to be armed with that information. Yeah. She may just take for granted that she's buying something that she would buy similar to, where she is. And in here, it's full of a whole bunch of crap. There's a lot of chemicals here that are legal that are not legal in Europe. So
a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So listen, we're not going to go on a intermission tonight. We're not going to go on an intermission tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go over 9:00 a little bit. But I wanted to, in lieu of an intermission, I wanted to make a very special announcement with Jay here. And that is this. The Quite Frankly Jamboree, it is happening, and it's happening starting this weekend. In fact, right now...
It's not happening this weekend.
No, well, it's starting. This weekend it starts. If you are a monthly sponsor of Quite Frankly, that is, you are on Patreon, Subscribestar, directly through quitefrankly.tv, or even pilled.net, then check your DMs, check the Patreon or Subscribestar, check the members only section on the website, check your email, check your spam filters, because if you are a monthly sponsor, you have been given exclusive access to buy tickets for all of Independence Day weekend, and then it goes public on Monday when we publish the new newsletter and all that stuff. This is it. It's a first of its kind event, featuring special guests, a whole room full of special guests. I can't wait to tell people who's coming.
Yeah.
Friends and family of the nightly show, join us for an evening of bespoke entertainment, mingling, and a unique culinary experience brought to you by Jay Gulinello of Perpetual Health with very, very specifically chosen nose to tail chefs. and very specifically chosen sources for all of the food that is going to be coming in. That is going to be Saturday, September 6th, 2025. And that is going to be, again, the link for this is going to be put out public for everybody on Monday. But if you are a monthly subscriber, go ahead and check your emails and check Patreon and Subscribestar. It's all there. And of course, there is the VIP pre-event soiree for a very small number of people. And that is, that's an add-on that you can put on there for Friday, the night before, September 5th. That's going to be awesome. That's going to be happening right here in Studio A.
Right here. You're going to be right here with us.
In here.
That is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That is going to be a lot of fun.
Well, Jay, I got to tell you, it's the first time done anything like this.
You're scared?
So, no. I mean, we put on so many shows.
No, I know.
You know, I feel we're like Mickey Rooney in that respect. You know, all those old Mickey Rooney films, you know, the solution to every problem was, let's put on a show. So I love that. We've been putting on shows forever, like concerts and stuff, getting the PAs, getting the bands, getting the lighting. So I'm no stranger to this, but it is a very new kind of production, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, we've been working on this for a while. I don't even remember when we first. I think you and I might have even been speaking about this. I want to say even at the Vermont retreat. I remember sitting with you in a room. It was just you and I while everyone else was doing something, and I remember talking about, you know, we should do something together, and it would be a lot of fun, and the show needs that kind of thing. And I'm just excited. I said to you before we went on air that I think it's going to be really fun for you personally also to just really be able to interact with your audience in a way that you've never been able to do it before. You got a little bit of that at the retreat because there were mostly Frankly's at the retreat, but this is going to be on a whole other level. And I'm excited for people who have existed in a purely digital environment, like all you guys in the chat room who have known each other for years, but only in a chat room. I'm excited for you to meet each other because I think that's going to create a whole new level of support for each other and for the show. I mean, you guys are now going to officially be like a family that has met each other in person. And if everything goes well, this is just the first of many. Frank and I have a lot of things to learn about this. I mean, I've done retreats before, but never done anything on this scale. And to scale it up would be wonderful. To take it on the road would be wonderful. But all of that stems from this one being successful. So if you guys are interested, we feel like we picked the perfect time of year because September is beautiful, you know, for weather. Hopefully we get a great Friday and Saturday. There's even a little spot on Saturday where the chefs, if all is a go, will be able to cook outdoors right there, and that's going to be great. So people can come up and, you know,
and not only that,
talk with the chefs.
You're going to get a lot from the chefs, a lot from the, you know,
Yeah.
it's going to be wonderful in that respect. But I've even got special permission from Jay Gulinello over here.
Oh yeah.
To I'm gonna twist his arm until he does it, but I want parked outside of the venue toward the end of the night. I want Dominic the ice cream man that Aurora always talks about, who plays You Can Ring My Bell. Mm-hmm. He is the singing ice cream man. He's been doing it for 40 years. He's classically trained. He'll sit out there. He'll just sing arias while he gives you your strawberry shortcake bars.
Yeah.
So I want a full. The only thing I wish I could do is rent like a supersized school bus. And take people like local tours.
I know.
Even to like, you know, to see the John Jay house and stuff like that. Anyway.
No, I did give him permission for that. The ice cream truck will not be perpetual health approved. Yeah, you can eat that at your own risk. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's going to be fun. I mean, people forget like because this is going to be at a bar, so there's going to be alcohol there, but we're also going to try to maybe have a few mocktails designed. I'm going to work on the design of those. So we're going to try to do a lot of really fun things for you guys, for people who don't drink, or just for people like me who don't really want to drink on a night like that. I want to remember everything. I want to but you know, like Frank, you and I have so much in common. We grew up, you know, playing in bands, which means both of us are, as much as we're both into health and that's my career, I'm infinitely comfortable in a bar setting because I spent how many years playing in bars. So, but we're going to really try to turn this into a really homey environment, and I think you guys are going to have a great time. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't wait. I really can't wait. Okay. So let's do something. Let's open up the lines for calls while we get while we get some super chats through.
Okay.
So let's do that because I have other things I want to do with you over here. 914-200-0269, 914-200-0269. Call in and just talk about anything, whatever the hell you want. Bullish Brown says, I love silver. So do I. Troy Man says, happy Independence Day to Frank and all the Franklies out there. Please don't hold fireworks in your hands. Chances are a lot of them are made in China and are not to be trusted. Remember, China is assho. You remember? That's true. Susan says, greetings, Franklies. Aurora? Frank? Yes. Thank you so much, Susan. Gina says, hey, so I figured out the login. I added my tickets to the cart, but now I can't figure out how to check out. Lauren?
It's like Hotel California.
Lauren,
You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave.
how does that work, Lauren?
Don't worry, we'll figure it out.
We'll get it figured out.
We
Like I said,
gotcha.
There's Thursday, there's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We'll get it out. Don't worry. Let's see here. Witchy Poo, thank you so much. Joe Martinez, thank you. Jay Britt says, Frank and Jabberwocky, I hope you both have a wonderful Independence Day weekend. Great show as always.
Thank you.
Gina Harris says, hi, Frank. I received the link to the ticket. Oh, wait. I'm slightly panicking. Can you don't panic.
Don't panic, Jenna. We got you.
Don't panic. Whatever you do, don't panic. Don't worry about it. Okay? We're figure it out. I promise you, don't worry. Let's take a call from Margie. Margie, how are you? It's been a while.
Oh, hi. God, you picked it up before it ever even rang.
Oh, let's see. It's magic.
Good grief. Okay, I was trying to get into the tickets, and it's asking me for a password.
Yes, I sent you the you got it through email?
Yeah, I got it through email.
Okay, yeah, respond to the email and I'll send you the password back. Yeah, that was my issue.
Okay. Okay, I figured I couldn't be the only one.
No. That was my issue. It's password protected for the weekend, and then it's public on Monday. So just respond to the email, and I'll set you up. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care, Margie.
Wonderful seeing you guys tonight.
Wonderful hearing from you. Jay, Margie is the one who called in a few years ago to talk about her night sitting next to the surgeon who actually removed substantial portions of Joe Biden's brain.
I know Margie very well.
So
absolutely.
And if she's actually there that night, she could tell the story. She could tell the story.
Margie has some of the best
I can
stories
tell you
ever.
Stuff I don't say on the phone.
Oh, yes.
She has some great stories.
That'll be good. Well, thank you, Margie. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Yeah, you know what, Lauren? If you can blast out the password to everybody, that would be great. She's going to send out an email blast right now.
That's great.
Okay, so that'll...
See, this is a big happy family. We're all learning together. This is the first time for all of us, and
Yeah, okay, so here we go. Road trip. When you're stuck in a conflict, ask the other person to describe your viewpoint, not to agree with it, just articulate it. Very often, they'll be utterly unable to. That's the time to walk away. Wait a second.
Oh, yeah, it's brilliant because then that shows that they're not listening.
When you're stuck in a conflict, ask the other person to describe your viewpoint.
Right.
Just articulate it. Don't agree with it. That's very interesting.
Yes.
I got to do that more often.
Mm-hmm.
That must yield incredible results.
I had to do that. I mean, that was a lot of what we did in grad school when we were debating a point. We would very often have to be forced to take the other side, which means in order to write that and be graded on it, you had to understand the other side of the argument.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Kobe Shumway says, 5 years ago was my first show and the first Mark Swan intermission. Thanks, Mark. I almost turned it off, but your hips won me over. It's one of those things, we got to stomach certain things just for the sake of tradition, right? So that's what we do. Easy Breezy says, hi, Frank and Jelly Bean Gulinello. For your information, Michael from West Virginia has the largest unit of... Michael from West Virginia has the largest unit of any man in the Frankly crowd? Just saying.
You talking about air conditioning units?
I don't know. Who the fuck? See you at the party in September, fam. I don't know.
I don't know if we want that person at the
remember,
party.
there's background checks for the VIP. We do background check for the VIP. That's weird. Shotzi says, happy 4th, Frank and Jay and Franklies. And Gino says, Francis, we were so busy with the little fella's party yesterday, I forgot to send in a happy birthday. So happy first birthday to my son, Quinn. We love you, and to your family, Francis. Thanks for all that you do.
That's great.
Yeah, people are fantastic. Okay, let's take another call. 826, you're on the air. What do you think about everything we've been discussing tonight?
Frank.
Yes.
Rob Worth.
Hey, Rob, how are you?
I'm good.
It's good to hear from you. How's everything going?
Yeah. I need help with online dating now because wife's not here no more. So, can you have a show with like what to do? Because I've not dated in 35 years. So I need some help, like with what's real and what isn't.
You know, Rob.
Wow.
First of all, I applaud your steadfastness to getting, to staying out there and being, plugged in and wanting to build more new human connections, especially with everything you've gone through.
Yeah.
Jay and I, just before the show, we were talking about things like this.
Yeah.
About especially meeting people and settling down and families and different phases in life and of course the ease with which that people can even do that these days compared to 40 years ago. How has society changed, and how has that made things better or easier or worse, whatever the hell else? So I don't know what I could do with this show to start a dating telethon or have any kind of a night in that respect. But I would love to do something more relationship based shows. I just don't know what I could do.
Could you bring on a matchmaker?
A matchmaker?
No, I mean, not, but to like maybe just like the science of matchmaking. I don't know. Maybe there is a science to it.
You know who we brought on? Rob, you remember the guy, the woman we brought on? Forget her name. I have to go look. She started that actually, since we're talking about vaccines tonight.
I remember that show.
It was unjected.com.
That's right.
So there's I remember her. I got to go reach out to her, see how that's all going, because I wonder how many more people have joined that dating website of people who wanted to make sure that they were only linking up with people who have not received certain shots or whatever the hell else it was. So that's one thing. There's unjected.com.
Okay. Yeah.
But
my psychiatrist told me about like 4 websites or 4 apps, and I signed up for Bumble today, and I basically said in my profile, I never wore a mask, I never took a vaccine, so take it for what it is.
You know what though? I mean, you're setting yourself up for success with that, because you can just weed through a lot of people that way. That's great. That's smart.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is too, it's like I live near Asheville, North Carolina, and it's very liberal. And they're like, if you're a Trump supporter, swipe left. I'm like, okay, boom, 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 boom.
It's like a filter. You just kind of like,
it is.
You cut right through. Yeah, that's great.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's one of those things where you never want to empty a room out, but sometimes it's for the best.
Oh yeah.
If it does empty out. But
if you believed all that BS, then you're getting swiped left. So,
well, either way, Rob, I wish you nothing but the best. Keep in touch with the show. Let me know if you want me to send you the link to that in the unjected place. And you planted a seed.
My brain capacity is pretty minimal right now. So,
well, take it easy on yourself. You don't have to put the pedal to the metal just yet. Just take it easy with yourself and
I appreciate your emails. I'm just telling the audiences, Frank is above and beyond what you hear on this show. You have been there for me. You've given me advice. You've supported me. You've had empathy, and I appreciate that 100%.
I second that, by the way.
Yeah, and I appreciate your guests too. And I will say, and I'll go. I like when you have the call-ins when your guests are online, because sometimes we have questions for your guests, but then they drop off, and then you open the lines up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so see, that's something. I have a solution for this. Now, I have a phone number set aside. What I found was I couldn't spend the money on another Zoom, a separate Zoom account that I would run from my phone. It was just too much money.
Yeah.
So I looked into Google Voice, and I was able to set up a hotline through Google Voice. So what I believe, and I'm going to start doing it. I'm going to start doing it again. I have it right on my phone. I can take the calls from my phone, which is Bluetooth linked over here to my Rodecaster. And that is how I can merge people together. Now I have to do a test. Maybe I'll do a test on early next week or something like that. But Rob, thank you for reminding me, because that needs to be a key part of the show, bringing the audience in to talk to the guests directly. The thing is though, Rob, I think maybe this is what it is. And you know what? Thanks for the call. Email me. We'll be in touch. Okay.
One quick question: how much does it cost for the Zoom account?
You know what? You open up, even if you have a basic account, then you have to buy Zoom phone, and then you have to, so that it's like a $20-something a month, and then you have to go and register a number.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I know that there's free options, and I gotta cut costs, because things are, especially since I started this damn S corp. It's paying taxes up front instead of at the end of the year. God, there's just like, there's no cash.
Is it $100 a year or something, or what do you think it is?
It doesn't even matter. We have a solution, Rob. It doesn't.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, I'll send you a PayPal link for $100 and I'll pay it.
No. You know what? That is very, very kind of you.
He wants it to be called the Rob line. That's the only.
It's truly very kind of you, Rob. But I wouldn't even to take your money and spend your money on it when I can have a free solution that works just as well. It's thank
fair
you.
Enough.
Yeah. If you find something else that you're like, you know what, I'm going to treat Frank to this or that. Keep that in mind. Maybe for my birthday next year or something like that. But thank you for the call. Okay.
Okay, you have a good night.
Thank you
for talking.
Take care. Okay. Anytime. That's why we do. I remember that was the other thing. It's one thing to have a guest on and to take calls from a hotline and get them linked up with the guest. And, there are some nights where every call is better than the next.
Yeah.
And then there's other nights where sometimes there's a lot of technical difficulties or a person doesn't have their thoughts together or somebody's off topic or whatever. I can't afford that when I have a guest on. So with that, I started realizing this would probably be a wonderful place for voicemails that, Krista had been saying, listen, you got to use voicemails on this, but then again, there's little drawbacks to that too. You have to know that a guest and a topic is coming. And then also, if there's something that they said in the middle of a broadcast that somebody wants to follow up on, I don't have a call screener.
Yeah.
So it's just it's tough, and it's a lot. It's big dice to roll.
Yes. That's kind of why it's fun. It was the Wild West when you would listen to Art Bell do that.
I know.
You just gotta navigate it somehow.
So I guess we just fucking go for it. It doesn't matter. We just go for it.
Yeah.
So that's what we got. In fact, we have a voicemail over here we should listen to. And then I'm going to get back to these super chats because there's a lot of great ones here. And then I have something else I want to show you. Listen to this. This is from Steve. Steve.
Hey, Frank and Jay. This is Steve from Columbus. Hope you guys are having a great night. I just wanted to drop a voicemail because I had this overwhelming feeling while I was just driving around. And I don't know if it's the weather, if it's, the Independence Day weekend high, the signing of the One Big Beautiful Bill, drove by a gas station with $2.75 per gallon price, and they're usually one of the more expensive stations around. But I just got this overwhelming feeling that we are now entering an historically great period for our country. And I just want everyone to make note and pay attention because sometimes, it's gone before you realize it and you didn't appreciate it. So have a great night. Take care.
Jay, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. I have the same feeling. I don't know what it is exactly, but after the last 4 years and what we've all dealt with, I do think that we're turning a corner. And it's going to be really interesting. I wish we could fast forward, 50 years or something to look back on this time and see how history looks at this, because it's usually a little bit more accurate. But I do feel like something is about to change. We have, as we said with RFK, key people in positions. I think there's a lot of positive change. I think everybody wants everything all at once, and I get that. But that's just not how change works. So, I mean, I do feel more positive about the country than I have in a very, very long time.
You know what it is for me? My excitement level, my happiness and all that is not I was happy through the Biden years.
Oh, sure.
I didn't like that aspect of what was going on. I wondered what comes next and what was possible. And right now, I feel like there's a lot more possible, even though, like I said, there's going to be give and take with everything. But whether or not we are going to be delivered a truly amazing, prosperous place to live by this edition of the machine, that is secondary to me. It's almost like the end of. I barely watched the Office season 9, the last season of The Office. But there was one point at the end when Andy Bernard says, I wish you could know that you're in the good old days when you're in the good old days. It's usually that you look back at something after the fact and said, oh, wow,
yeah, those
were the good old days. And for as much looking back we're already doing to days that were, the early 2000s, the 2010s, and even the 90s, we talk about all that stuff. I look at right now and I say, you think about the stuff that we've pushed through, but you think about the friend. If you have good friends, and if you have me, this is. I have to be I'm optimistic about so much, and I know that 20 years from now, 2025 is going to be something I'm going to miss a lot.
Yeah,
and it's for far more reasons than. We had a shot at some things with Donald Trump as president.
Absolutely. You can just hope they can give you some of the tools to be able to do things like, be able to live that American dream of buying a house and some land. That's all you're asking for them. I'll take care of the happiness. You just get out of the way, basically. I think that's what we want. Can the federal government just get out of the way a little bit? Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's take a call from David. Go ahead, David.
Hey, Frank. This is Dave from Arizona.
Hello, Dave. Doing well. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
Kind of. You're a little gurgly, but if you can just get close to the... No.
Yeah, you know what? I need to take my earbuds out.
Yes.
I forgot.
Earbuds are terrible.
Hang on.
I can tell it's going to get better.
Already.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's a lot better.
Okay. Actually, I'm just kind of, I'm actually Dave in Columbus, Ohio right now. I'm kind of heading to Vermont.
Oh.
As you know, I drive for a living. So, I was listening. It was probably the first time I got a chance to tune into your show live. Usually I'm driving, so I'm like a day behind.
Mm-hmm.
But, I'm not a subscriber monthly. And I was just going to ask you where do we go to get tickets come Monday?
Oh, well, on Monday, I'll put it all, don't worry about that. I'll put it all out there. It'll be front and center in the middle of the July newsletter. And it'll be part of my nightly announcements, because I don't know. I have a feeling it could sell out quick. It could sell out slowly over the course of, 2 months. I don't know. But on Monday, I promise there's going to be no confusion as to where you can go and check out any information that there is about the show. I promise.
Yeah, I just want to forward some of the information to my wife, Linda, because, I'm a retard when it comes to electronics.
Listen. Hey, listen, I just sent out a members only email with no password. So
there's a little bit of retard in all of us.
Please.
No. Yeah, I caught that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm just kind of, I'd like to get tickets for the VIP, but I think they might be sold out by Monday. But,
listen, don't be I don't be too sure about that. Seriously. But I promise you on Monday, you'll know. Is there anything else that you want to put out there, David?
No, I'm kind of looking forward to the event and meeting a lot of people there.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
You know, I mean, I don't get to watch live too often. Like I said, I'm usually like a day behind listening to podcasts as I drive. And you know, just always like one step behind, it seems like. But anyways, I appreciate you taking my call though. And then also I wanted to confirm something.
Yes.
Your new email address is frank@quitefrankly.tv, correct?
Yes. Or you can send it to the other one, quite frankly, podcast@gmail.com. It all goes to the same place. So I just, we figured we might as well have an official email that's tied to the official website.
Yeah, I just been replying or just kind of going along with the thread there because, like I said, I'm kind of retarded. So
it's all right, David. Well, listen, I'll be looking out for emails from you. If you need anything, just email me there. And if not, I'll talk to you Monday. I promise.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I should be up in. I'm heading to Vermont right now, so I'll be hanging out in Connecticut for a day or two.
Sweet. Go. Also, you know who you got to go see? Go find. Thanks again. You got to go find Willie. Go find Willie.
Have I ever been here when that storm arrived?
John from Connecticut.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
No,
I can't remember.
When Willie calls in?
Yeah. Have I ever been here when that happened?
I don't know if you've been on for a Willie call.
Maybe once, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, you know what? Let's take a really quick break because we have some love to give to our Badlands sponsors. And when we come back, I got to read this for you, and we'll take some more calls too.
Okay.
But there is this article about Ozempic.
Oh, yeah.
I want to tell you about.
Okay.
Because, well, you'll see. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, don't go anywhere. We'll take more of your calls right after this. Where the hell is it? There it is.
Quite frankly, contributed to the death of 7 million people because of the funding of gain-of-function experiments in the Wuhan lab.
Coming August 14th to 17th, Badlands Media returns to Deadwood, South Dakota for the 9th stop of the Great American Restoration Tour. Come for family, friends, fun, and a f***ing good time. Hear truth bombs that hit harder than B2s on an Iran nuke site from Burning Bright, Chris Paul, CanCon, Red Pill 78, Brad Nabby, Ash, Ghost, Jordan Sather, John Harold, whoever that is, and more. Plus, Alpha might make you a sandwich. Deadwood is a gorgeous town in the middle of the Black Hills of South Dakota. If you've never been, you need to see it. Plus, you might be lucky enough to witness some terrible karaoke from your favorite Badlanders. Go to badlandsmedia.tv/events for weekend or one-day tickets. And if you can't make it in person, virtual tickets are available too. Watch from the comfort of your couch with tons of behind-the-scenes content and get access to an exclusive Guard chat. That's badlandsmedia.tv/events. Be there or be there online. It'll be recorded.
Scientists were able to mimic Nessie Amun's voice by recreating his mouth and vocal cords with a 3D printer. It allowed them to produce a single sound.
I'm gay.
Howdy, Badlanders. Looking for something new to grab from your friends at Badlands Media and Rise Attire? Summertime is here. We got you covered. All new tank tops for men and women, featuring new iterations of the Devolution design in black, red, white, and even blue and green digital camo. Sick. We got them for Psywar and Clown World, too. How about these bad boys? Psywar, Clown World, and Devolution beach towels to help you spark up a conversation with your new best friend or future spouse at the pool. And by popular demand, we've got all new athletic women's leggings that'll have you red pilling all the ladies in your Pilates class, whether they like it or not. Too bad. This is Badlands, baby, and we're strapped. Get some and support the new media parallel economy as much as f***ing possible at badlandsmedia.tv/rise.
Quite frankly.
In the U.S. In the swimming pool on the front of it. I forget. Is it an empty swimming pool? I don't know what the hell.
The first one was definitely Maybe. The second one was the one that had all the hits on it. Why can't I remember the name of the damn album? It had like Wonderwall and
Champagne Supernova.
Yeah. What the hell's the name of that album?
I don't know.
Good Lord.
That's probably the one I had.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, I only became that deep of a fan as the radio hits in the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went down one year, it was probably maybe 2000, maybe it was 2000 or 2001. There were several summers in a row where me, my mother, and Anthony, Skip, my friend Steve, my friend Mike, we would all go down to Universal Studios, Florida. You know, we'd stay at the Hard Rock Hotel. Well, we stayed at the Hard Rock the last, the other times it was like, you know, neighboring hotels. Then we just tell that we're going to the Hard Rock. Man, that was just so awesome because the Hard Rock is connected to Universal Studios and the Islands of Adventure. So you can just walk right over there and stuff. And, you know, we were around 15, 16, 17 years old, still not old enough to really do too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just a great time. And so when we went down there, my mother would always look for like extra things to get us to let us to do. You know, if me, Anthony, and Steve and Mike, or you know, the guys, the kids, wanted to break off for a little bit and go do our own thing, we had somewhere to go. So every once in a while, she would get us Hard Rock Live tickets for whatever band was going to be there. And one year that we were down there, Oasis was playing down there. So we got to go to an Oasis show at Hard Rock Live in Florida. So we thought that we were going to go in there and hear Wonderwall and all the radio hits.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers played all the deep tracks just for, and listen, I didn't see one British person the entire vacation. And when we walked into Hard Rock Live that night, we were the only Americans.
I believe it.
So it was this diaspora of British people who just wanted the deep tracks.
Yep.
And me and Anthony, and Mike, Steve were looking at each other like, let's get the hell. And we left early, so let's get the hell out. What do we do? We didn't know.
They get some good deep tracks. Really good band. I like them.
They didn't play anything we knew.
I know. They got really I know everyone always compares them to the Beatles. Later on, in some of the later albums that were less commercially successful, they really got experimental and had some really cool stuff, like Heathen Chemistry, those some of the later albums. Standing on the Shoulder of Giants was a great record. Just some really good stuff. Yeah. So this has that vibe. That's what made me think of that.
Well, then they're great. Okay, so then I wish I could have appreciated more because everybody there was having a good time.
Yeah.
Who opened up for them? Do I feel it's either? No, we were listening. I think they played the B-52s before the show started over the PA. It wasn't the B-52s opening up for Oasis. That'd be nuts.
Was it Cheap Trick? They literally open up for everybody.
I don't know. You know, Ramen Zander was our guy that they paired us up with for that Breaking Band.
Oh, really?
I told you about that?
Yeah. Well, I've heard it on the show.
Well, yeah, me and Anthony and the guys of Set the Charge, we went out that we had just formed.
Yeah.
You know, Anthony had just gone viral in March of 2014. And so after that, we were like, okay, listen, now we got to put the pedal to the metal for the band because this could feed into everything.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, it was just me and Anthony. Set the Charge was a two-piece band, you know, two-member band. He and I were doing gigs in little clubs in New York City by ourselves. He would just crank he would sing, play the guitar. I play the drums. We had no bassist. We didn't care. But at this point, we're like, let's get a bassist. Let's get a second guitarist. Yeah. And that's when Tom and Derek came on. So when Mark Scarpa, who was producing Breaking Band, and Mickey Willis was the one that directed our episode. That's when I met Mickey Willis,
so weird,
who became the Plandemic guy. That's when I was like, holy shit, it's Mickey. We were down there when we went out there. They're like, okay, we have this, Mark Scarpa. He's actually a local around here who became a really big producer. And so when he saw what we were doing, because he had met with us at the old studio back in like 2011, we were pitching him some idea because we wanted to do some stuff with the Capitol Theater. We were just always thinking of things that we can do to make music and broadcast work with entertainment and all that. And so Mark every once in a while would check in on us. So when Anthony went viral, he remembered Anthony's face and came back and looked for all of our Zadalza New York stuff, found us. He showed up in he showed up in the Zadalza New York chat room one night. Okay, and he's like, guys, it's Mark Scarpa.
Hey,
you know, this is like a Grammy award, whatever. Anyway, so he said, get in touch with it. So we got in touch with him. He said, we have an opportunity for you. I'd love for you guys to come out to LA. It's the first time we ever went to California to be a part of this thing called Breaking Band. Now, me, Anthony, we went out there. We had a good time. It was a learning experience. We played 10,000 miles an hour because we were just so wet behind the ears.
Yeah.
We were jacked up on adrenaline.
Of course.
We were just saying on the way back home, we're like, we did good, but we weren't ready for it. And I think about that all. But Robin Zander was our guy. You know, they pair you up with a rock and roll Hall of Famer type of person who's supposed to be like your mentor.
Okay.
And when we were going out there, here's the crazy thing. I could talk about it now because fuck it. But when we went out there, everybody, they were saying, who do you think your guy's going to be? We were, I don't know what, I forgot what made us like 98% sure that we were going to get paired up with Scott Weiland of Stone Temple Pilots.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It was shortly before he died.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, we were like, we thought it was going to be Scott Weiland. And when we went out there, thank God for our friend Gypsy. Because we were in the waiting room, me, Anthony, Derek, Tom. It was right before they were going to shoot the scene of us, you know, meeting our guy. I mean, the meeting for the first time was real. They made sure that we were all in different places, and we're like, oh man, who the hell is it? So I texted my friend Gypsy. I said, listen, be a spy. You got to find out who the hell they're pairing us with, because what if we don't know who the hell it is?
Yeah, that's legit.
Because it would have been really embarrassing.
Of course.
And he got back to me in about 10 minutes, he said, hey, it's Robin Zander. And I didn't know who the fuck that was.
That's not fair for young guys that might not know Cheap Trick.
I did not know who the hell it was. He's like, I said, who the fuck is that? He said, Cheap Trick. I said, oh no. So immediately I told Anthony, Tom, Derek, no, everybody was on the same page. We're like, shit, we're all on our phones now researching Cheap Trick.
Surrender. I love that song, man. It's great.
So we can have something. Oh, you guys are like
that's fantastic.
Like
I want you to want me. That's why I love that track.
Yeah, you guys are like the Beatles of Tokyo. You know, I know that they're huge in Japan for some reason.
So you know what's so strange about that combination that you just said? So I saw, and by the way, it's a good thing you didn't get Weiland. I love Weiland, but I met Weiland right before he died too. He was actually playing Gramercy Theater here, and I got him to sign the book that he wrote, and he was out of it. He just wasn't the same guy from like the SDP that everybody remembers. It was really sad. When I met him, I could see his eyes were gone. So it was really sad. But when I saw SDP in 97 at their height, like Tiny Music at their height, guess who opened up for them?
Who?
Cheap Trick.
Get out of here.
No joke. So I got to see Cheap Trick and then Stone Temple Pilots in their heyday.
Well, you know, the cool thing, when Cheap Trick finally, after we were on that show, maybe like 2 years later, less than 2 years later, Cheap Trick was playing at the Capitol.
Okay.
So, I mean, I couldn't, you know, I forgot why Anthony and I couldn't make it, but I told Tom and Derek, hey, listen, you contact this person and see if you get, and Robin brought Tom and Derek. They got to watch the show from side stage.
Dude, that's awesome.
So, I mean, it was.
And Cheap Trick is good. I mean, they're like.
I know that now.
They're like the journeyman of all journeymans. Like that's how I made the joke. Like who opened up for them? Cheap Trick, because they open up for everybody. But they were good. You go back and listen to some of their old stuff, and they were a good live band. And yeah, they were. I mean, I had fun when I saw them. So.
Well, let me get through some super chats here. Silly Boar says, get dressed, you're going. Anyway, great to see Frank and Jamiroquai Gulinello together on Quite Frankly.
Virtual insanity.
I know. Right here on Badlands, too. I love Thursday nights. It's a lot of fun. Grandma Grateful on Quite Frankly Rumble says, I received my keto brain samples today. Going to try them as soon as I get over the flu. Oh, well, feel better, please.
Yeah.
Feel better. Tommy Jekyll says, I'm sure Jay has addressed this in prior shows. How much vitamin D is too much? Same for salt. Ditto with sugar. I'm renal transplanted if that bullet point is relevant.
Yes, for sure. You got to be careful with normally salt. You don't really have to be very careful with. Your tastes will tell you, but if there's like any kind of renal function compromise, you do have to be a little bit careful with salt or protein, unfortunately. And that's like very individual by your labs. Same thing with vitamin D, because the conversion to vitamin D, the main conversion to the active form, happens in the kidneys. So you just want to have somebody monitoring your blood levels. I'm assuming that you're probably getting blood work more often than like the standard person. So I couldn't give you an amount because it's going to vary, and it's really going to be reliant on the serum levels to make sure that whatever kidney function's going on is adequate, and you may need to adjust from there. But that's kind of how that works.
How are my kidneys looking? You just looked at my blood the other day.
From what I remember, they were good.
Everything freaks me out these days.
I know, it's okay.
Jay Semo says, Chris Ann last night and you and Jay tonight is awesome. This is why you're the best. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jay Semo. That's very nice of you. I just hope that I want to give you guys something to look forward to every night, especially if it's an unplugged kind of a night.
Chris Ann looked way better than I do last night.
She looked fantastic.
She looked fantastic. Yeah. I was like, wow, it's educational. She looks the part. This is fantastic. And then I show up today in a t-shirt. I'm sorry, I should have done better.
Well, look at me. I've got my George Washington, crossing the Delaware shirt, only it's not George Washington. It's all past the Yankee greats.
I can't see your shirt over the monitor.
It's a Yankee shirt. Anthony got me this for Christmas. I love it. Let's see here. Okay, Merlin Marvel says, I'm throwing in for this one. Happy Independence Day. Don't worry, Merlin. Let me see. Make sure. Yep. Wait. Nina, where is Merlin Marvel? Merlin Marvel. I already have you in there. Good. The Wrench 1776 says, Happy 4th, gents. Thank you. I already added all these names into the namepicker.net. Pablo Wenscabar says, would Jacopo Gulinello please give a brief rundown of BHB, salt versus esters, please?
Oh, yeah. So beta hydroxybutyrate. Salts are going to be much cheaper, but they're less effective. Esters are going to be more effective, more expensive, and they taste like hell. So if you want to really bump up your ketone levels, the esters are the way to go. But again, they're pricier and they taste terrible, but they work. Salts, cheaper, taste much better, but don't quite have as much of a physiological impact.
There you go, Pablo. Hey, would you blow me? Says, hey, Jason, I asked you a question on your Rumble video about responding to injury about the heart. Can you answer it there when you get a chance?
Yes, I can. I will definitely check it out.
Look out for that, Haywood. And thank you again, Haywood, for just being around and hanging with us all throughout the week. I really enjoy our regulars as much as I enjoy anybody else. Rosie says, Happy Independence Day. Zaza Kapow sends some love too. And I have added everybody into the raffle. Nicole says, God bless America and God bless Frank and the Frankly audience. I love you all. Thank you, Nicole. And Revolution says, oh crap, that's due tomorrow? He's quoting Thomas Jefferson on July 3rd.
Oh, my homework's going to be late.
My homework's going to be late.
My dog ate the Constitution.
Earl's daughter says, question, what in the world are the bioengineered ingredients in my bagged salad I buy from Sam's? God. Is it in the salad itself or is it the dressing? I've just noticed it and I'm like, what the hell?
You won't know. They just have to put a bioengineered ingredient and it could be anything. It could be the lettuce itself, how it was grown. It could be anything. You just got to stay away from it, unfortunately. And Costco? Is that where she said she got it from? Costco has
Sam's Club.
Okay, I don't know Sam's Club, but those places usually have some good stuff, but you got to turn over everything to look for bioengineered ingredients. If that's something that you're concerned about, which I am.
I turned over everything I bought today for the grill tomorrow. Thankfully, the burgers I got, it's just said beef ingredients.
That's a good.
But I as far as where the beef, I don't know. I know. But still, there you go. That's a running on empty. Says looking sun blushed and healthy tonight. Well, I don't know who you're talking to about. Probably you. Because the light on me is not the light on me makes me look a lot paler than I am in person.
I think that does the same thing to me, but I can't see, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely. I've been out there.
I got a lot of sun too, so I'm feeling very tan.
Good for all of us. Safety Net says blessings, Jeshaya, and Frank. Thank you so much.
Are these real names? Does somebody have a baby book out there?
Jeshaya. That seems biblical, to be honest.
That's true.
Willie Fix It says happy 4th. Pick me. I got you in there, Willie. Nina Rocks says happy birthday, America. Love you, Frank, and keep me going when I don't want to. God bless and keep you.
Nice. That's a gift.
Yeah, I mean, it goes both ways.
It does.
Trust me. Jay knows.
Yep.
He gets the text sometimes. Wonder World says, happy 4th. Interesting show. And Smoke Sesh, thank you so much. You're all in there. Stephen and Lori, happy birthday, America. Happy birthday. Finally, Jamboree needs Molly happy drinks. Yeah. Well, oh yeah. Well, that's the whole thing. We can't give the venue like really specialized drinks.
Yeah.
That's why Jay is going to he's going to submit a Jay Gulinello approved bar item, like a mocktail that you can go there and maybe a mineral water and apple cider vinegar with a twist of, I don't know what the hell, but they're really good. I mean, that's what we had on election night, and they tasted fantastic.
I'm going to make one real simple one like that, and then I'm going to work on one over the summer of something that's like maybe a little bit more, just so people have something to choose from.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, Zaza Kapow, all over the place there. Thank you. Mari Barrow, thank you. The Sentinel. It is great that we get to celebrate America's 249th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence tomorrow. Great show, Frank and Howdy Jay. And Vesper says, happy 4th, Patriots. And Delona, thank you. Let me put Vesper and Delona in there. Vesper, Delona.
There's a lot of super chats tonight.
Well, you know what? It's a special occasion, so people I'm thankful for that. And also, we got silver, and we've got a book that is going to be specially inscribed by Aurora and I, and then a bumper sticker that's cool. So I like giving people away, and we can play with each other like this, and it helps the show because man, we are, we're fighting through it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I work very hard to make all of this. People don't know. They have no clue. I'll tell you.
Money.
One thing Tim Pool has never done.
Yeah?
If Tim Pool has ever written one postcard in his life, I'd be surprised. I'm sitting down at the end of every month with Lauren, stacks of mail that I'm writing to people. I'm just grateful. I work overtime to thank people for keeping all this not only afloat but growing. And we have become very crafty with what little we bring in to make it really work for us. And I have faith that it's going to pay dividends even farther down the road, more dividends than it already has. And things like this event, I think we're stepping into much bigger shoes. And
absolutely,
I'm happy with that. Okay. Yep. That's all. You know what? I mean, I got this story about the Ozempic.
Oh my God, it's 9:00.
We can save it because maybe that'll help us open up the conversation about bioregulators and peptides.
Sure.
Because I want to know about that.
Yes. I wrote a 5-page piece on it that I'm probably going to put on Substack. I'm probably going to give it to the beta group, and we'll talk about it here for sure. Okay.
So then here's what we're going to do. I'm going to put that aside, and because you have to come on the show a little bit more frequently now, because we are on the yellow brick road.
Oh boy, you're right.
We are on the yellow brick road to September 5th, and it's going to be here in a flash.
I know.
Okay. It's 2 months tomorrow. I mean, 2 days from now.
Yeah.
So
2 months from
here's
now.
what I want to end with. Lou Gehrig. I want to put a little bit of attention on Lou Gehrig because it was July 4th, 1939 that he spent a little bit of time, and he wasn't very comfortable with it. He definitely didn't want to say anything, but he was being honored by current and former teammates at Yankee Stadium. They knew that he was going to die, and he was there being honored in front of everybody on July 4th, 1939. Now, he would be dead by 1941, but he, ALS, and I there's something about this speech. Not all of it was caught on tape. And you want to talk about going into, facing something like a death, and especially one that he knew was probably going to be slow and uncomfortable, but to do it with such dignity, and there's something about this speech that has only been preserved by very small. I don't know. Everybody had a little bit to add to it. Like this is not everything we know about this speech. Listen, so as you know, he comes up to the. Let me turn this off. 1 second. When he comes up hesitantly to the microphone to address everybody. This is what we know about it.
For the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad brag. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. When you look around, wouldn't you consider it privilege to associate yourself with such a fine-looking man as is standing in uniform in this ballpark today?
There's a little bit more. It's very cut up.
It's crazy. There's not like a cleaned up version of it, huh?
I know. Hold on.
That I might have been given a bad break, but I've got an awful lot to live for. Thank you.
Now, we can do a whole show on Lou Gehrig. You know, he's a local boy from around here. But you want to talk about the immigration story. You want to talk about just a physical specimen. And for him to play uninterrupted as long as he did, and then just be taken out because his body failed and it was all going away. But, you know, shortly after this, and I would love to do this with you one day, he went on local radio around here. And he gave an interview. One of the requests was, please, I don't want to talk about my health or anything else like that. And they just talked about baseball and especially the All-Star game and also the emergence of players' unions and collective bargaining and all that stuff. And it's really awesome to hear him talk about just work ethic related stuff as opposed to what is now considered basic entitlements of labor these days and what needs to be earned and what shouldn't just be given and all that stuff and how people, players should support each other and all that, but not in some kind of a mandatory kind of a taxing way. It's really interesting. We should listen to it sometime.
Yeah.
But here's a little bit of the farewell speech, which was cobbled together, and it's the best estimation of what the full one actually sounded like. And he talked a lot about his life. Fans, for the past 2 weeks, you've been reading about a bad break. Today, I consider myself the luckiest man on the face of the earth. I've been in ballparks for 17 years, and I've never received anything but kindness and encouragement from you fans. Look at these grand men. Would you consider it a privilege to be associated with these men in uniform today? Sure, I'm lucky. Who wouldn't consider it an honor to have known Jacob Rupert, also the builder of baseball's greatest empire, Ed Barrow, to have spent 6 years with that wonderful little fellow, Miller Huggins, then to have spent the next 9 years with the outstanding leader, that smart student of psychology, Joe McCarthy. Sure, I'm lucky. When the New York Giants, a team you would give your right arm to beat, and vice versa, sends you a gift, that's something. When someone down to the groundkeepers and those boys in the white coats remembers you with trophies, that's something. When you have a wonderful mother-in-law who takes sides with you in squabbles with her own daughter, that's something. And Lou Gehrig was a very famous mama's boy too. Did not leave home until he got married. I mean, of course, that was just like religious as well there too.
Yeah,
he lived home until the wedding day. And but still, when you have a father and a mother who work all their lives so you can have an education and build your body, it's a blessing. When you have a wife who has been a tower of strength and shown more courage than you dreamed existed, that's the finest I know. So I may have been given a tough break, but I have an awful lot to live for. So there's a lot in between. There's the obviously awkward cuts there, and maybe a lot of this is apocryphal at this point, but there's no other way. There's no other real account of it.
It's so strange.
Yeah, and I just wanted to put a little bit of spotlight on Lou Gehrig since it is a 4th of July story, and you want to talk about strength in the face of sometimes total darkness. a blinding light. So let's see who wins. Let's see who wins this now. All right. Got a couple of dozen names here, and the winner is Road Trip.
Ah,
that's a name that has never won before. Road Trip.
That's good.
Yeah, good for them.
It's not rigged.
It's not rigged. But Road Trip's been around for a while, and I'm pretty sure they've never won anything.
Oh, that's cool.
So Road Trip, get in touch with me. You got the book and the silver and the bumper sticker.
That's a great win.
That's a great win.
Nice job, Road Trip.
Happy 4th of July to everybody. Jay Gulinello, Perpetual Health on Rumble. Where else should people find you? Instagram, right?
Instagram, Rumble. It's always Perpetual Health CO. And then, of course, because Frank did it the right way, got me to become Jay Gulinello on X. So you can find me there. And that's, that's pretty much it. You can also go to Substack if you want. That's perpetualhealth.substack.com, as you guys are probably sick of hearing on the Health Minutes. But, thanks, Frank. This was a lot of fun. We do a lot of Eve shows together.
I love it.
And it's kind of fun.
Yeah, no, the Eve shows are the best. This is essentially the summer Christmas Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, for my family, this is the beginning of Christmas in July, because starting this Sunday, the 6th, is going to be the first Sunday in July that when we sit down to make fun of a Hallmark film, it's going to be a Christmas film, because Hallmark does Christmas in July. So all the Hallmark films and the great all the great American family films that are out right now, they're Christmas themed, because it's the halfway point.
The people at home probably are wondering, are we going to watch a Hallmark film at the meetup?
Oh, listen, I'm thinking about shit like that.
I know. We're thinking about everything. So we're going to reveal what's coming, because truthfully, we don't even really know. We're just really starting to envision what this is going to be like. So this is still a work in progress for us. We just wanted to get out to you so that you knew what to expect. But the food, I know people are going to be mad if there's not some kind of liver there, but I promise you it's also not going to be a health retreat. You're not going to be forced to eat testicles. So
right.
It's okay. Don't worry about it. There's going to be something for everybody.
Maybe afterwards. No, not at all. You know what I was thinking about, dude? I was thinking about things because we have a room that we can get about 200 people in.
Mm-hmm.
And for everybody out there, just know we're trying to sell about 160 tickets, because I want to bring 20 to 30 people to mill around that that you've seen places. Tony Black is going to be there. Family, friends, people from the show. Guests from the show that are going to be coming on in. There's a whole bunch of people that we still have to still invite, and I can't wait to brag about them. I have to just get some time and make sure that all of our ducks in a row. But I think about that. What can we do with 200 people before, I can't invite everybody to a softball field and play wiffle ball with 200 people. Like, what do you do? It's like, we just gotta,
I know.
I'm going to get
people.
Local tours, a local tour, like tell people, hey, go harass my buddy and have a slice of pizza.
I think that would be fun. Reach out to a few people that that own businesses and say, hey, listen, maybe give a little Quite Frankly Jamboree discount and give them some extra business and get people the opportunity to meet somebody and to eat at a local place.
Especially if what they eat is, a New York strip.
Yeah.
Or something that's approved by you, so that they're not loading up on pizza and then coming and then, I had my liver at the end of the day. I had some pate to top off my Zeppelis.
And by meeting Nick and Anthony, and I'm not sure who else is going to be there, because this is obviously a much bigger event than they're used to with working with me, but how personable they are, but also how well they do at disguising foods that I could say, hey, you want to try this? And you'd be like, no. But when you eat it first and you realize, what did I just eat? Anthony and Nick are masters at sneaking in all kinds of great stuff. But like I said, there's going to be food for everybody if you don't want to get adventurous. But if there wasn't something adventurous, I know that the audience would be mad at me.
Oh, listen.
They're expecting it.
Be creative with
I
it.
will.
Because, again, I just can't wait to see people talking with the chefs.
Yeah.
Because they can have their own shows if they wanted to. They can talk all day about stuff.
Yeah.
So not only that, people are going to be able to mix it up with those who are providing a lot of the meat. You know, if Neil shows up from the pig farms down in Texas, this guy is incredible. Just from the Zoom calls we had with him, I can't wait to meet him.
So I met him at KetoCon. He's about a 6'3", 6'2", 6'3" Texan with a cowboy hat, and he is bringing 50 pounds of bacon. So the guy is amazing. He's hysterical. Yeah, I mean, Nick had Frank. If you guys remember from the retreat, maybe you saw some pictures. Nick had Frank dismembering a chicken. He taught Frank how to dismember a chicken.
I got to dismember a chicken. I think I did pretty well.
You did. That was a lot of fun. That was a fun night.
I didn't kill the chicken though.
No.
That'll be next time at the retreat.
Absolutely.
Well, everybody, you have to know where your food comes from. So everybody's going to slaughter an animal tonight.
Grab an axe.
All right. Happy 4th of July. Jay, thanks for everything, man.
You got it, man.
I'll see you guys on Monday. Enjoy the rest of your, well, listen, I'll do a coffee stream tomorrow. Just keep your notifications on YouTube. I'll pop in. We'll talk. Because I'll just, be getting ready for the day. And then who knows over the weekend? Definitely on Sunday, we'll do our Sunday streams for the monthly subscribers. If you have any other questions, just get in touch with me. Quite Frankly, podcast@gmail.com or frank@quitefrankly.tv. It all goes in the same place. Take care, everybody. Good night.
I'll catch you on the flip side.
Quite Frankly, film before a live studio audience. And now our super chatters, starring Rosie, Zsa Zsa Kapow, Nicole, Revolution, Earl's Daughter, Running on Empty, Bullish Brown, Troy Man, Susan, Gina, Witchy Poo, Joe Martinez, Jay Britz, Jenna Harris, Road Trip, the big winner tonight, Kobe Shumway, Easy Breezy, and of course, Shotzi and Gino. Thank you guys so much. Thank you to all of our wonderful Rumble ranters across the Badlands and Quite Frankly Rumble. Remember, tomorrow around 3 p.m., there's going to be a 5.5 hour Liberty Weekend 1986 rerun that you'll be able to watch. And, well, I don't know, just you could be on the background. Just live for a couple of hours in 1986 again. I'll see you all soon. Good night.
Goodbye.
All right, that's it. Thanks, everybody.